Imagine being the star of a multi-billion-dollar show, but feeling completely invisible the moment you walk off the stage.
Yeah, that is a really heavy thought.
It is, right? And right now, the NAACP is basically telling black student athletes in Florida to just, walk off that stage for good. Welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here. We have a lot to unpack today.
We really do. Today, our mission is to explore the intense collision of college sports, race, and education. We are unpacking academic journals, news reports, and legislative summaries to really get to the bottom of this.
Exactly. And the news hook for all of this is that the NAACP, and they are backed by the Congressional Black Caucus, recently called for black student athletes to just boycott public universities in Florida.
Right, an entire state boycott.
Yeah, a massive pushback. And this comes right after Florida passed Senate Bill 266, which is a law that eliminates diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, or DEI programs, at these schools.
Which caused a huge uproar. I mean, Cowboys legend and University of Florida alum Emmitt Smith, he came out and announced he is utterly disgusted by his alma mater cutting these programs.
He did. He actually warned minority athletes that the university is closing the doors on them.
But the wild thing is, recent analysis shows that despite all this political uproar, top recruits are still actively signing with Florida schools.
They are. So we are going to unpack the hidden system of how universities balance massive profits with, well, supposedly educating their athletes.
And explore what these new political battles actually mean for the players on the field. Because before we can understand the current boycott in Florida, we first need to look at the system these athletes operate in.
Right, a system that is built heavily on their physical labor. Our sources actually introduced this concept called academic exploitation.
Academic exploitation. That is a strong term.
It is, but it fits. Colleges rely on these athletes to generate millions of dollars, and sometimes they treat them purely as assets. I mean, there is a quote in our sources from a Kansas State University official who just bluntly stated, "My job is to protect the entertainment product."
Wow. Wait, they actually call the students the entertainment product?
Word for word. The official said their job is to make sure the entertainment product goes to class.
That is just wild to hear out loud.
Yeah, and the demographics really highlight who exactly makes up this product. Black athletes make up 56% of Division I male basketball players and 50% of Division I football players.
So they are driving the revenue. But how does this academic exploitation actually play out when they get to campus?
Well, it starts before they even arrive with what the sources call the special admit system.
Okay, what is that?
So let's look at an elite school like UC Berkeley. According to the data, 95% of student athletes are special admits.
95%.
Yeah, compared to just 2% of the general student body.
Oh, wow. So they are bypassing the normal academic standards entirely.
Exactly. They bring them in to play sports, but then the pressure is just immense to keep them eligible to play.
Right, because if their grades drop, they can't be on the field.
Exactly. So what happens is they're often forced into what the sources call Mickey Mouse courses.
Like easy majors.
Yeah, easy majors, easy classes, just to keep their GPA afloat. It ends up robbing them of a real education.
I mean, if you think about it, it is basically like working two full-time jobs. If these athletes are working 40 hours a week on football with practice and travel and film study, aren't universities just setting them up to fail academically?
It certainly looks that way.
Like bringing them in underprepared just to win games.
Well, the systemic pressure on coaches to win is just massive.
Yeah.
A coach's job, their multi-million-dollar salary, depends on winning.
Right.
So that shifts the entire focus away from long-term educational success and creates this cycle of academic underperformance.
So since the academic system often isolates them from a real education, how do these athletes actually experience campus life, when they take off their jerseys?
We have a great study from ScholarWorks that looks at exactly this. It focuses on black athletes at historically white institutions.
And what did they find?
They found that these athletes often live in an athlete bubble.
An athlete bubble?
Yeah, like they feel highly supported by their teammates and coaches, but totally isolated from the broader campus.
Oh, because they spend all their time at the athletic facilities.
Right. And when they do venture out, they deal with what the study calls stereotype threat.
Which is what exactly?
It is the constant fear of just being viewed as a dumb jock.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really striking anecdote from the source about this.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading this. Tell the story.
So a black student is hanging out in a dorm, and someone asks him what sport he plays. And when he says he doesn't play a sport, the person actually says, "How are you a black guy at this university and you don't play a sport?"
Ouch. I mean, that is just so incredibly insulting.
It really stung him, according to the research. It ties into this broader concept in the journals called interest convergence.
Interest convergence. Break that down for us.
It basically means that athletes often feel the university only supports them because their athletic success brings the school money and prestige.
Right. It is like being a VIP guest who is only allowed in the kitchen to work, but you are never actually invited into the dining room to eat with everyone else.
That is a perfect analogy. The support is entirely conditional.
So, does this intense isolation explain why having supportive campus staff like DEI officers becomes so crucial to these students?
Absolutely. Those programs are designed to provide a sense of belonging and support outside of that athlete bubble.
But that exact support system is what is currently being dismantled in Florida, right? Which is bringing all this historical tension to a total boiling point.
Exactly. And that brings us to Florida Senate Bill 266.
Okay, let's talk about the bill.
Impartially speaking, this law bans state and federal funds for DEI programs at public universities. It also restricts teaching concepts that frame systemic racism as inherent in institutions.
Right, and supporters of the bill argue that universities should focus on merit and traditional academics, not, social activism.
Yes, that is the right-winger conservative perspective on it. But the impact on the ground was immediate. The University of Florida responded by eliminating all DEI positions entirely.
Just wipe them out.
Yep, they ended all DEI-focused contracts too.
And that is when the fierce pushback started. Emmett Smith gave his warning, and then the NAACP launched their campaign.
Right, the out-of-bounds campaign. The NAACP is actively urging athletes to take their talents somewhere else.
Somewhere outside of Florida.
Exactly. Their core argument is that if these institutions are going to reap the financial benefits of black talent, then they absolutely must invest in black futures off the field.
I hear that. I really do. But I have to push back a little on the practicality of this boycott. Well, the NAACP says this isn't about politics, it's about protection. But we are talking about 18-year-olds making life-altering decisions here.
That is very true.
Are we really asking teenagers to sacrifice their professional athletic dreams, their shot at the NFL or NBA, just to make a political statement?
It is a massive ask. And while the political pressure from groups like the NAACP is immense, the actual decisions these athletes are making tell a slightly different story.
Yeah, let's get into the reality check here. Is this boycott actually working?
Based on the findings from an analysis by the College Fix, no, it does not appear to be working at all.
Really? Even with all the media attention?
Yeah, the data is pretty clear. At least 35 of the top-ranked black student athletes in basketball and football recently signed with Florida universities.
Wow, 35 top recruits.
And that is despite the formal NAACP letter urging them not to. For example, the sixth best basketball player in the entire class of 2024 just signed with the University of Miami.
So they are just ignoring the boycott entirely.
It seems that way. And there is a huge logistical challenge to boycotting these states anyway.
Right, because of where the big sports schools are located.
Exactly. Many of the top-ranked college football programs are in red states. You have Georgia, Texas, Alabama.
Oh, right.
And those states have similar DEI restrictions, either passed or in the works.
So if you boycott Florida, you basically have to boycott half the SEC.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You would be cutting off your best paths to the pros. And there was actually a really ironic detail from the source about all this.
Oh, do tell.
So the chairman of the NAACP, the guy who helped issue the travel warning for Florida,
Yeah.
he appears to still live in Tampa.
Wait, really? He lives in Florida while telling athletes to stay away.
According to the report, yes.
That is quite the detail. But coming back to the athletes, why do you think they are ignoring the boycott? Is it just the desire to go pro?
It comes down to economic reality. Only about 1.6% of NCAA football players actually make it to the pros.
1.6%, that is tiny.
It is a razor-thin margin because the window for athletic success is so small. Things like elite training facilities and top-level coaching are just too important to pass up.
Plus, we have to talk about the NIL deals, right? Name, image, and likeness.
Absolutely. Lucrative NIL deals allow these kids to make hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars right now.
Right, while they are still in college.
Exactly. And for most recruits, securing that immediate financial future and playing at a powerhouse school simply outweighs a political boycott.
That makes total sense from their perspective. They are treating themselves like a business.
Which is ironic considering the universities treat them like the entertainment product.
Wow. Full circle right there. Let's briefly recap this journey we just took. We started by exploring how universities rely on athletes as an entertainment product, right?
Yep. And we looked at that isolating athlete bubble where they feel supported on the field but alienated in the classroom.
Then we covered the intense political battle over DEI programs in Florida with the new laws and NAACP boycott.
And finally, the hard reality of recruits choosing athletic and financial opportunity over those political boycotts.
So why does all of this matter to you, listening right now? Well, every time you turn on a Saturday college football game, you are actively watching a massive, multi-billion-dollar machine.
A machine that relies on these young players to keep running.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are watching a system that shapes the futures of thousands of young adults. And that leaves us with a final thought to mull over.
I am curious where you are going with this.
Well, if universities operate like massive entertainment businesses and state laws dictate the campus culture, who is ultimately responsible for the human being inside the jersey once the stadium lights turn off?
That is the million-dollar question.
It really is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.